We'd begun the conquest of the world in little 50 to 100 kilometer expeditions outside of Kingston.
We were playing Belleville, Brockville, Cornwall, Trenton, Toronto.
Fans of high-quality entertainment. So this video is about a Canadian band. If you're from Canada, you probably have heard of them. And if you're not from Canada, you might not have heard of them. They're Tragically hip. I've always really liked their music. I've had some of their CDs throughout the years. And I've been watching this. It's on Prime Video. I don't know if it's Prime Video in the States or just in Canada. But it's a documentary on the band's whole career. And I'm about halfway through it. And, you know, I know how the story sadly ends with the lead singer, Gord Downie, of course, passing away from brain cancer. But about a year before he passed away, he went on tour for a final time with his band. And their final show was in Kingston, Ontario, which is about 60 miles from Trenton, Ontario. And you will hear Trenton being mentioned in the documentary coming up because they used to play a local bar here way, way back in the day. And I did do a reaction to their very final song, and it was, you know, quite moving. It's quite moving every time I see it. And I have the final concert on Blu-ray, and it's just, you know, very moving every time I see it. And on Wikipedia, it just says the Tragically Hip was a Canadian rock band formed in Kingston, Ontario in 1984. And a few years back, maybe 10 years ago, I was at a local Kingston bar. Another great Canadian band, the Northern Pikes, were playing, and 3 members of the Tragically Hip showed up, and they actually even played some solo songs on stage. And so that was the guitarist Paul Langlois, Rob Baker, the guitarist, and the bassist Gord Sinclair. And so, yeah, it was cool to see them. But, you know, at that time, even though I was a fan, I wasn't like oh my God, it's the Tragically Hip. And now, you know, I think I'd respond a little more excitedly, I guess. But they were all very nice when I met them. And as you can see, the years active are from 1984 to 2017. So yeah, in the mid 80s, they were playing in this area, although I never did see them. And it says here, following Downie's diagnosis. Then it just says here about Gord Downie's terminal brain cancer. The band undertook a tour of Canada in support of their 13th album, Man Machine Poem. The tour's final concert, which would ultimately be the band's last show, was held at the Rogers K Rock Centre in Kingston and broadcast globally by the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. And you can see it online on YouTube, the whole concert. And you just have to realize, you know, Gord Downie had brain cancer. And I'm sure he was, you know, physically very tired, but he did it for the fans. And so what I was planning to do was watch the whole documentary and then do a review of it. But I don't need to watch the whole documentary to let my viewers know that enjoy rock music and rock music related documentaries that this documentary is excellent. Yeah, it's called No Dress Rehearsed. And so, you know, watching it and listening to all of the songs I'm familiar with. And like I said, I did buy some of their albums throughout the years. They'd kind of come and go in my CD collection. And right now, I don't have any music by the Tragically Hip. And watching the documentary, it's like I could have slapped myself because they are, and they were, well, they were so good. And I always consider either, the Guess Who or Rush my favorite Canadian bands. But I think, really thinking it over, maybe the Tragically Hip truly is the best Canadian band because they're more Canadian than any of the other bands, because they would write a lot of, like Gord Downie would write a lot of songs that were related to Canadian topics. And so their discography, and also in the documentary, it's pretty cool to see them. There's pictures of them with the Rolling Stones, because they opened for the Rolling Stones, I think 4 times. And they opened up for Page and Plant. And there's a picture of them with half of Led Zeppelin. And supposedly Robert Plant is a fan of the Tragically Hip. I think one of the band members mentions that he's bought all of the albums and really enjoys them. And so, this is their discography. The Tragically Hip was an EP in 1987. I never bought that. Up to here, 1989, their very first their full album debut. Never bought that. Road Apples, I never bought. Fully Completely, I had on vinyl, and it was excellent. Day for Night, I had on vinyl. It was excellent. I never bought Trouble at the Hen House. I bought Phantom Power on CD, Music at Work on CD. And then I kind of ignored them for a few years. And I did buy Man Machine Poem, which was really good. I really enjoyed that. But anyway, I was checking out these albums, these later albums that I never really, except for maybe a song or two, never really paid attention to. I listened to them on Spotify, and every song was so good. And so I definitely need to start buying Tragically Hip CDs and talking about them more on my channel. I'm Canadian. I'm a proud Canadian. And I think I kind of, it's this, I wouldn't say embarrassment, but it's like if a Canadian band doesn't make it, like the Guess Who did or Rush, doesn't make it big time in the States or the UK, you kind of ignore them a little more because, they're, they never made it in the States. So they're good, but they're not good enough to make it in the States. And, I've been totally wrong about that because they are a amazing band and they put out quality albums, from everything I checked out from start to finish. And they have a double CD of your favorites, and some of the songs that I really love are Grace 2, My Music at Work, 38 Years Old. Ahead by a Century is probably my all-time favorite. If you've never heard the song, I highly suggest you check out the original video and then check out the final performance. It's on YouTube of them singing of Gord Downie singing Ahead by a Century, the very final song he did with the Tragically Hip. And it's very moving. And Fiddler's Green, of course, Blow It High Do, 50 Mission Cat, New Orleans is Sinking, Poets, Courage, Bob Cajun, Nautical Disaster is amazing. at the 100th meridian, yeah, locked in the trunk of a car. Like I said, I really love those songs I just talked about. Why don't I have them in my CD collection? Shame on me. And I hope, and the other thing is, even though the Tragically Hip didn't make it worldwide as they did in Canada, they still made it. They were on Saturday Night Live. They played a lot of shows in the States and all over the world. And, you know, in very good clubs, you know, pretty big sized clubs, probably, a couple thousand, 3,000. And they were just like superstars here in Canada. And I just highly suggest you check them out if you're not familiar with them. And even if you are, I highly recommend, if you can, find the documentary No Dress Rehearsal. It's on Prime Video, and it might be, I don't know if it's streaming anywhere else, but God bless the Tragically Hip and Gord Downie. May he rest in peace. I definitely, in the next few weeks and months, I'm going to be buying some Tragically Hip CDs. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.